How's it, guys? This is Cold Blooded, and I'm coming at you with another Dota commentary. This is going to be a game that I'm going to casting between MYM and Shift, I believe. MYM currently at the moment on on a pretty sad losing streak. So this is the reason why I want to comment. The reason why I want to comment this game is try and give you guys some sort of analysis into why MYM is in fact losing these games that they have been doing of recent. I think the sort of losing streak began a while back when I can't remember who they lost. It was either Navi, sorry, or Scythe or someone there. They lost a game, and since then it's been sort of downhill for them, which is really disappointing. I'm currently hiding out in my TV room because my house is swarming full of painters and builders and stuff. So, trying to get away from as much of the action as possible there. Get some quiet space so I can give you guys a decent commentary. I'm busy watching cricket on TV. The World Cup's on at the moment. I don't know how many of you actually watch cricket. I used to play it when I was a kid, so that was pretty cool. But I must just point out the fact that I'm on my computer and watching the TV at the same time is pretty an accomplishment, and I think if you guys have ever done that before, give yourself a high five. It's pretty much the most lazy thing you could possibly do. Good news for MYM though, however, in this game is that Milk is back. Definitely MYM has been on a bit of a losing spree since Milk stopped captaining for them. It's a very democratic team. It has been pointing out. Misery has been captaining of recent, but I think the playing style of MYM changes significantly when Milk's not captaining compared to when Misery captains. I think Milk is just a better captain. He tends to pick heroes which MYM is used to playing, towards which MYM has been successful with, team strategies that MYM has been successful with. Whereas Misery, although he picks very good picks, very standard picks, I don't think he is able to tie in that sort of experience Milk has with playing with MYM and with MYM's playing style that Milk he isn't able to tie it in as well as Milk is able to do. So I do think Milk is definitely a better captain in terms of not necessarily a better player, but just a better captain for MYM. We see better strategies being picked up by him. So we're hopefully going to see some interesting strategies, more MYM-esque sort of strategies, rather than the non-MYM picks I think we've been seeing of recent. The last game we saw MYM picking up, I think we saw them picking up 3 carries, which MYM doesn't really do, and when they certainly do it, they aren't very successful. MYM was just known for a team that had, early mid-game presence, not necessarily the strongest late-game teams. They never had the strongest late-game teams, but they always tended to have the strongest mid-game teams, and teams that were certainly strong in the late game, but not necessarily the strongest. And what we saw then is we saw MYM, it's not meet your makers, it's make your mistake. So when MYM got into the late game, when they were able to defend successfully, very good teamwork, very good pushing, very good defensive work, very good at ganging, very good at roaming the map. That's the sort of playing styles that MYM is used to, or used to be playing in pools of very successfully, not the sort of 3 carry lineup that we've seen. And hopefully we're going to see MYM reverting back to that sort of mid-game, very strong mid-game lineup, very strong pushing, ganging orientated lineup that we're used to seeing them playing, rather than this Chinese sort of or Asian rice carry, which Misery picked up in the last game. And I think Misery's been tending towards that sort of strategy rather than towards the usual strategy that MYM plays. I think that is probably the largest reason why MYM has been suffering at the moment, but I'll definitely go into more analysis of why I think that is, or how they're playing better as a team when we see these picks being all going on. Other things that I'm telling you guys so far, I'm at the moment, I'm thinking of creating a new channel on YouTube. I am currently Kotab01, which used to be my old playing name on on Twilight, but I did change it to Cold Blooded since then. So I'm probably going to create a new Dota commentary channel, or for myself, a Cold Blooded on YouTube. Set up that account. Hopefully that a name's still available, or I'll just create some sort of spoof thereof. But I'm gonna put that up so that link that to it. So it's just of my new commentaries. Kotab01 has very old commentaries that I did. Well, not old, but I mean from like a month and a bit ago when I just started out. So I'm not very pleased with that. But when I get good enough, maybe if DC accepts me to start commentating for them, maybe when that sort of thing happens, I'll set up an account on YouTube and I'll make it Cold Blooded, and then have an account which is linked to my commentary name. So that's my plan, and if you guys have subscribed to CodeTabber1, I will link it to my account, but please do subscribe to my other account. I really do enjoy all you guys' support on the website, on DC, on YouTube, your guys' comments, your guys' feedback, really entertaining. Glad to hear that you guys are enjoying my commentaries, and yeah, just please keep it up. I really like the feedback. It's probably one of the biggest reasons why I do it in the first place. Okay, enough of me rambling on about absolutely God knows what. But looking at the picks here, so this is a game shift we're going to see being on Sentinel, and we are going to see MYM being on this on the Scourge lineup. Very standard picks, sorry, very standard bans from both teams. We see the Batrider and Clockwork being banned. Very indicative that maybe Shift would pick up an SF or likewise a solo mid hero, but instead they picked up a Weaver in the first pick, and I'll talk to you why that's interesting now. Earthshaker also being banned. Good hero. I'm not so sure that's worthy of a first ban. However, we do know that MYM is able to play a very good, and specifically is he? Yeah. Mania and Milk, I do believe, are both very good ES players. I think Milk is the better ES player out of them, but both of them are able to play a very effective ES. That's probably the reason why he's being banned in this game. Other bans here by MYM is Invoker and this Windrunner and the Morphling, just straight up standard bans. Invoker, Windrunner, and Morphling, probably the most 3 commonly picked heroes or commonly banned heroes in the recent metagame. Definitely in this latest version. So very just standard bans. They're all very strong all very strong mid to late game heroes. All able to lay down significant DPS, but some of them have very good disables, like this Windrunner, good lane presence, good team fight presence, as well as, you know, the Invoker, which is able just to lay down so much DPS. It's just unstoppable, pretty much anywhere into the game. So just very standard picks here coming up from MYM compared to Shift, who seems to be orientated towards, you know, maybe an SF solo mid. I'm not so sure that's going to be the case, but I think they are just fearing the high roaming presence that we usually see MYM playing. Both the Batrider, the Clockwork, and the Earthshaker are very roaming orientated heroes, and that's probably the exact reason why they're banning them, trying to limit the capability that MYM has to, specifically that Malk is now back in picking for MYM. I think they're trying to limit the ability that Malk has to pull off one of his infamous, you know, MYM strategies, play towards the style of that MYM is used to, or that MYM used to play towards. I think they're trying to limit that, because that's when MYM is effective, and that's when MYM will definitely beat Shift in this game. Okay, picks picking up by Shift here. We do see a Weaver being picked up, Pugner, and a Sven. One of the problems, however, by picking up this Weaver is that there's no Doombringer being banned so far. So Milk has probably realized that such a good counter to this Weaver is picking up a Doombringer. You know, dooming the Weaver just annihilated in the face. Can't Shuriki, can't there we go, Doombringer pinked up. So he can't Shuriki, he can't time lapse. It basically removes all of his survivability in a team fight. He can't lay down effective DPS, and it forces him to buy something like a BKB or a Linken's. A BKB on a Weaver is just crap. Like, it's not like a Nevermore where you just want him for a BKB to lay down ulti and 3 raisins, because that's an insane amount of magical DPS anyway. I mean, that's why you get a BKB on Nevermore. With Weaver, it's different. Getting a BKB on Weaver would mean it's just irrelevant, because BKB is a DPS hero, it's a physical DPS hero. You want him there to lay down as much damage as possible as you can in team fights. You want his survivability to be there, you know? You want him to get down to low HP, then revive, come back, and deal more DPS than ever before. But that doesn't happen, and what you're going to force here by picking a Doombringer is you're going to force this Weaver to pick up maybe a Lincoln Sphere, something along those lines, which is such a cost deterrent to this Weaver. It removes all of the early game DPS he might have. You know, if he has to farm up a Lincoln Sphere before he can farm up Radiance, that significantly reduces the effectiveness of the Weaver throughout the entire game, and specifically because MYM never really likes games to get into the late game with this Weaver here. It's very hard. It's going to be exceptionally hard for this Weaver to become effective. Definitely Weaver is sort of what we'd like to call it at the moment, not an overpowered hero, but people think he's overpowered simply because he hasn't been played that much, or no one really knows how to counter him. But one of the ways to counter him is definitely picking up a Doombringer. And Shift, if you're thinking about picking a Weaver, probably one of the best ideas is to ban the Doombringer straight up. Anyway, very standard other picks being picked up here by Shift. We're seeing the Pugner is probably going to mid-solo and a Sven. Sven probably going to play support in this game, but very standard picks going up there from Shift. More unusual picks, or more nicer picks, I'd like to call, being picked up here by Malk. A has just been so effective. We've seen him being played as a solo mid hero by Playmate numerous amount of times. I'd like to see him being played in a tri-lane as well. I think that can be very effective. It just generally depends on the strategy that you're trying to play. I think if you're going for a magical damage lineup team, then it's definitely better to put here AA in a solo lane, because you can get up a Dagon, get up a Ginsu's really early on and become roaming and start roaming super effectively and picking up hero kills on a 1v1 basis, in a very similar way to the way that Lion plays as a solo mid hero. But if you're not playing that sort of role and you need to put him in a lane where you are more physical DPS, where you want him for the disable, you want him for the